Hello, my name is Kelsey Kennedy, and today we are going to go over Chapter 10, Formulated Program Evaluation Plans. Chapter 10 in our textbook, Formulating Program Evaluation Plans. The main concepts explained are what exactly a program evaluation is, why program evaluations are used, the different types of evaluation, including systematic evaluations, developmental evaluations, and unplanned evaluations. How to conduct different types of evaluations, and different ways in which one can collect data for the evaluations. Throughout this lecture, the chapter's main points will be summarized and explained, showing exactly why this chapter's information is important to program planners to learn, so you guys can effectively implement different types of evaluations within your own programs. According to our textbook, program evaluation begins and ends with the program and entails giving feedback to everyone involved throughout the entire process. Program evaluation is a process used to determine whether the design and delivery of a program were effective and whether the proposed outcomes were met. And this quote can be found on page 233. There are several reasons program planners utilize program evaluations as part of their program planning process. One of the main reasons is to determine how to improve upon their program and to make it more effective. Other reasons for using program evaluations include using them for determining whether or not a program should be continued and to be able to gain participant feedback, so they are able to improve upon and move forward with the program. In our textbook, it also states that the central purposes that drive evaluation processes are gathering and analyzing data for decision making and accountability. This chapter describes 3 different evaluation types, the first of which is a systematic evaluation. A systematic evaluation ideally takes place during program planning and must be thought about ahead of time. It is a structured process focusing on the purpose of evaluation, major evaluation questions, and techniques and analysis procedures. With this evaluation come 5 major pitfalls that our textbook outlines, and they include not planning for problems that will need to be addressed and changed, the outcome of the program may be too unclear, the evaluation may not be able to provide hard evidence, the evaluation costs time and money, and planners continue to collect evaluation data even though they know that no action will or can be taken on the basis of evaluation findings. The next evaluation is a developmental evaluation, and it is best used in programs that are being adapted and changing often. If using this evaluation, it makes sense for it to be used to address problems with no real answers, taking a problem and trying it in a new situation, or with participants from a different background, and creating a program that needs a fast response. Finally, the last evaluation the book outlines for us is the informal evaluation. The informal evaluation can be rather hard to define, for it has a rather broad definition and can be left to the program planner to fill in the specifics of exactly how they want to conduct the evaluation themselves. For example, although it should be used before the start of the programs, data can be collected from word of mouth, collecting information by observing participants, comparing reactions of participants, and more. In this chapter, the book explains that there are numerous ways to evaluate programs, and oftentimes the different types overlap with one another, and more than one is used. However, within this chapter, we only get an in-depth look at 2 of the most common types, which include the levels of evaluation and the goals and objectives-based approach. The levels of evaluation are typically asking participants through a questionnaire what their reactions to the content of the program was, the instructors, teaching techniques, the facilities, and what they thought of the food service. These questionnaires are normally presented at the end of the programs and can also include asking participants what they feel like were the strengths and weaknesses of the program. The goals and objectives-based approach is rather true to its name and is derived from the goals and objectives of the program and may address the changes in participants and procedures and practices in education and training. There are a lot of ways to collect data, and on page 245 of your textbook, you will find the description and operational guidelines for each way to collect data, and some of those ways to collect are through observations, interviews, surveys, pre- and post-test, product reviews, performance reviews, organizational and community records and documents, portfolios, cost-benefit analysis, focus group, self-assessment, and storytelling. Before the start of data analysis, it is imperative to set up procedures on how to analyze the data that has been collected, in which there are three major ways, which includes quantitative, qualitative, and multiple methods. Quantitative data ends up giving precise numerical values, providing statistical data, and is often collected through the surveys, tests, and more. Qualitative data is data that gives rich descriptive materials as well as visual representations of the results collected. Using multiple methods simply means using both quantitative and qualitative data. A big advantage to using both types of data is the flexibility that is then allowed in making of the evaluation. Although this chapter thoroughly explains the different sorts of evaluations that can be completed, there is a lack of explaining how to create program evaluations. I think it would have been really helpful to readers to really get a step-by-step explanation on how to create a program evaluation so they will effectively be able to make one as well. In this PowerPoint, I have provided 2 links to sources to show how to do step-by-step evaluations for programs. For this interactive activity in this chapter, think of a program in which you would need to create an informal evaluation for, and write up your own informal evaluation survey for participants to complete. For this week's questions, the questions are: number 1, think and explain of a time you have planned a program in which you have conducted an informal evaluation. How did you go about collecting this data? Number 2, how did you use this data collected from your informal evaluation to improve upon or change your program? Number 3, explain a time in which you utilized a program evaluation to help better your program. Did you use a systematic, developmental, or informal evaluation? Number 4, referring back to question number 3, why did you think that evaluation best fit your scenario? Number 5, explain 2 different ways you have collected data. If you haven't completed your own program evaluation, explain times when you were asked to provide feedback for a program you attended. What forms of data collection did they use?